KKU 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui.
Could it be? It's Monday. Happy Halloween, almost. It's the Neutral Zone. Aloha. Good morning. It's 11 a.m. Monday, and that means we're in the Neutral Zone. MauiNeutralZone.com. It's anything but neutral, and we have a very unneutral co-host. I've made Scott R Bushnell is not only a great Aloha swim lessons. That's you're one of the things you do, but you're a great guy. I am just so thankful to have you here with us. Here we are on radio, KAKU, low power FM, 88.5 FM here in Maui, and Akaku Maui Community Television, Channel 55, Maui Community Media, we like to be called. You know, when you go to MauiNeutralZone.com, you're going to see a menu there. Right above, you'll see a description of the show and some of our donors there, and some of those could be you. And then you're going to see a menu. So you can not only choose shows from now, you can choose shows all the way back, and actually going back 30 years. Ariel and I have been doing shows, and they're all up there. And then we got a YouTube channel, but, you know, there's a lot of history. And actually, that's the first time you came in here, Scott. You were with me when I was after the Lahaina thing sort of happened.
Yeah, after the
and you're
the
a long-time Maui guy. You're watching Maui now. You know, we're August, September,
October,
November. So this is 3 months. I haven't been to the west side of you.
Yeah. We've been over a couple times. You can't really see anything from the road.
Yeah, so it's...
Yeah.
You're good. I just want to make sure I get our volumes good.
Sounds good.
Okay. Scott is a veteran of Lahaina. Your video that you put up after the fire really was like riding down Front Street and seeing Lahaina again.
That was a fun video. I had just gotten a GoPro, so
what year was that? Long ago?
No,
that
was last spring.
So that was, but you're a veteran when there was a Blue Max,
Hamburger Mary's.
Right.
Oh man, those were fun years.
And you had the best of entertainment that made this a personal hangout.
Oh yeah.
So Lahaina and the Blue Max, and you know, when I got here, it just became a place called Tiger in '88.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And people would tell me about the Blue Max, but
Blue Max was amazing.
That's just a place to be, huh?
Yeah, I sat in the Blue Max. I actually, when I was working for the Hyatt Regency teaching swim lessons back in the early '80s, they would task the lifeguards sometimes to take care of sports celebrities that came if they were in negotiations or talks. They would say, hey, can you stay with like Willie McCovey's wife and kids and kind of guide them, be on the beach with them, and that would be kind of my job that day. And that particular stretch was in negotiations. I hung out with his wife, and we went to the Chuck Mangione concert because Chuck paid, and went back, did the backstage thing, all of that, and unbeknownst to me, I'm overhearing a conversation that, I'm going to go play at the Blue Max, after I get all this done. So I go down to the Blue Max. Here I am, this 20-year-old kid, and I go down there. Next thing, here comes, Chuck Mangione comes in. This car's just jamming, Next thing, George Benson comes in. I'm sitting there with three people in the Blue Max, a cigar scotch bar, and they played for hours. And I'm just sitting there like going, wow, just amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
Fun years. I mean, Spats, Blue Max, Spats was
there in the Hyatt, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, you had to wear pants. That was a tough thing back then. I said, God,
that was a great and happening place. And Hamburger Mary's.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Another great experience.
Oh, yeah.
the come and go, but the Lahaina that was recent was also really happening. They had a Dirty Monkey.
Yep.
And, right down where Lassen's gallery was is another gallery,
Oh, yeah.
The people that I knew then, they've graduated. Probably a lot of them have retired. All these, Andrew Annenberg was there and had a gallery. Dick Sargent had a really blossoming gallery, and through the years helped a lot of the new artists be shown there.
Right.
And then down the way, in the courtyards and all the things that made Lahaina the really great visiting experience.
Lahaina was kind of an evolution. It never really stayed the same. It was always just reinventing itself over and over again.
Well, when it was less populated and when it was less people are aware of it, we had the chance to have a Chuck Mangione and George Benson come down quietly at night and not get hounded. And
and even during the old Lahaina Hawaii or Lahaina Halloween nights when MTV came in, covered Lahaina live as the Mardi Gras of the Pacific. There's MTV. Good Morning America. Here we are, from the Mardi Gras. I mean, it was amazing. Lahaina always evolved.
Well, those days, and they've come and they've gone, and here we are now. And you've had experience. We spoke about it on another show, but Scott has. When I speak about subjects, there are very few people that are around in my world that I can talk to that can go from soup to nuts, and from nuts to fruits. And then, put a little milk on it. He knows how to mix it up. And there's a very interesting guy. So, and I met him in MKP.
Right.
Mankind Project. You know what that is? You guys who have listened before do, but let me make sure everybody knows. MankindProject.org. You can look and they'll tell you what they're all about. But the way I know it is, I was looking, like in that movie, for a few good men and women, but a few good men who would take things and help actualize them. And I have specifics in mind, of course, dream makers and Maui arts and music. But this Mankind Project, I go to the first meeting was, the first time I saw it was, I went to this New Warrior training weekend, which we just had a couple of weeks ago, and I went through this experience, and it was a great experience for me. And I'm a veteran of the, Life Spring, and, I can go down my list of all the different New Age things and not so New Age. And I live on Maui, so you could walk down the street and see anywhere from someone that just came back from India to the guru themselves who came here and doing a tour to someone with their little guitar. And there's, Paul Simon over in the corner, and Cat Stevens, Elton John. It's like it was who's who, like you said.
Yeah.
But as this place got more and more crowded, the island saturation, and remember the whole thing about we are overcommitted. We have too many bodies here.
And they were complaining about that 25, 35 years ago. That's the same complaint. It has never changed.
Well, all you do is applaud the fact that there's been ineptitude here. When I say applaud, that's not the right word. You make me feel like I'm a hero, although I haven't had results. I've been talking about this like you've been talking about this, like others have been talking about this for a long time. And here I am on public access radio with, who are our donors? Our donors are people that hear these shows and say, hey, to get people to hear these shows, we have to put money out to promote these shows.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because if you don't see this and know there's a whole wealth of shows and people and ideas, so 30 years ago, Scott noticed we were talking about that same thing. So I'm a real pain in the ass. You're allowed to say ass on radio, right?
Oh, I
think so.
I watched The Simpsons last night and just was like,
oh, is that right?
Wow. How many of those bombs can you drop in one cartoon?
I met a local guy here who's 55, who came back. His mother is 82, and started having signs of dementia significantly. Well, being that I have an 80-year-old partner, I listened even more intently. But what's interesting to me, he was born and raised here. Has 4 or 5 brothers. They live in Haiku. They have families, all kinds of things. They also have been, when I know about Pundi, they know about the statue of Pundi at the Cultural Center. And this guy has worked for Delta Airlines for 30 years. He retired early, he said. He retired early after 30 years. But he's still working here, lives in Paia, and takes care of his mom, who lives at my place, because I live in a senior center.
Nice.
But the locals, I said to him, and the reason I even brought up Pundi, I bring him up a lot, and I'm hoping someone's going to come up to me one day and say, I'm with you. I understand what you said. Pundi called me, I don't know who Pundi Yokauchi was. What was that?
That was just, I was pulling up something to talk about, and I was like,
okay.
No. Stop that. Stop that. They're okay.
To me, Pundi Yokauchi was the guy when I was dishwashing at the Wailea Resort, those, and the condos there that were like high-end, but they weren't high-end like multi-skrillion like they are now. They were high-end, but...
They were very high-end, yeah.
But 1993, to raise $30 million and build a cultural center and start with this and get financing, Pundi did that. Pundi's the guy that helped the resorts get started, the ones in Kaanapali, along with Colin Cameron, right?
Colin
and
Cameron.
Pundi's the guy that helped get those hotels over here.
And the Himiters.
Takauchi and got him to do the Wailea thing, 2 hotels going at the same time. I like to call it the Marilyn Monroe House. And up there on the hill on the other side. So Pundi called me. I said, wow, hi. He'd like to meet me. Well, that was great. So I went up to his building. The reason I'm talking about all this is I lost a local champion, and that guy that came back to working at Delta that retired, that's been here all his life, that hasn't seen change. I feel like, even though I came here and spent 30 years here, I need people that are here that are aligned in these ideas that I'm speaking about and you're speaking about. Maybe this is a catalyst for you, reaching out to local people who want to bridge that divide. The thing that Hawaiians, when you go to an event and you see white people, black people, orange people, very few Hawaiians. And when you see Hawaiians, I don't really see their presence. I want to feel them. I'd like to somehow bridge this thing. Lahaina's coming. I feel there's going to be this need to integrate and share and show your strength.
I don't see that divide at all, Jason. I don't at all.
No, well, again, I'm trying to point it out because what I see the divide is, if I want to do an event, you don't see that you go to an event and you don't see any Hawaiians in the audience?
No, it's not that. It's and I'll preface this with understanding. My partner is of Navajo descent, 100%. Indian, Native American, and learning about his culture over the last decade or so, there is this familia that takes a lot to integrate into, because, and this was told to me back in the 80s when I got here, and I was actually invited to go to a pig hunt, which I didn't know that was a great honor, and I still regret that to this day I didn't go. But for Hawaiians to invite you or extend themselves because they see so many people come and go, there is a buffer zone there, because I saw that living on the west side. When I lived there, you'd see people come and go much more frequently. They'll come, you meet these wonderful people, and then 2 or 3 years, they're gone. They've left. Living on the South Shore, I live in Kihei. Yeah, there is the same influx of people, but I'm seeing there's much more solidness. There's more. The local folks that the Hawaiians that I know on the south side open up more, it seems like. And then you get to Wailuku, and you get to Kahului, and then you're reaching into neighborhoods that go back millennia. And that interesting part about that. Now, I was reading this book, and I've read this book. It's by King David. He wrote this one about his latest production. I read it. I've listened to it twice. And as you guys, you might not know, I actually do counseling at MCCC on Fridays. I have a men's group there that I work with. And some of those gentlemen I've been talking to about the book. And I've unleashed this amazing storytelling with some of the men that come to my anger management group, telling me stories that I have heard from King David in this book. All this tradition I've never seen that. Until I started reading.
King David, the same guy we know from the Bible.
No, King of the island, our king.
King David.
Yes, King. Can you read that one, Jason?
No.
You got your glasses on.
Wait.
Okay, here we go. We're going to get this guy right. Jason can pronounce things correctly too.
King David Kalakaua.
Yes.
The legends and myths of Hawaii.
Yeah.
The fables and folklore of a strange people. What is this? An album?
Well, no, it's an audiobook.
Okay.
So when I walk every day,
I
listen to books, and I've been listening to this one from. He's in the lineage of the kings of the islands, and he tells the story of the Wailukuns fighting the Paians and all these different wars that were going on the islands before anybody ever got here. And some of the stories and the myths, and especially the story of Paupau, the king of Paia, king of Hana, who murdered a priest or a religious person, a shaman, and brought down 3 years of drought, where they had an incredible drought. Many people died. And all the sacrifices they made, all the human sacrifices that were done in Lahaina to try to appease the gods, to bring back the rains. And I am not the one to talk Hawaiian history, just not. But I have actually just finally broken through this barrier, and now with some of the men in my groups, some are older than me that have been in jail for 30, 40 years. Are regaling stories to me that were regaled to them by their parents and grandparents and so on. And I did not know about these battles that had gone on here, this rich history of how...
You sound like a politician. I'm stopping you for a second.
I have my moments.
That was interesting because you said, I don't agree with you that when when the things happen, that the Hawaiians and the other people don't integrate. The Hawaiians pull away. And so you were going back into history to show why and where those feelings came from to support. It sounds like support the thing I said. So you don't disagree. That's why I say, did I say you sounded like a politician? I was going to say, you sound like a Republican. How's that for being
Well, I'm not a Republican, Jason. You know that.
No, but I was trying to, or a Democrat. Hey,
not a Democrat either.
You sound like a Green. You sound like someone, because what I was saying was, one-on-one is one thing, but I would like to have a show where when I look out in the audience, I see the love that happens one-on-one. With the Hawaiian people feeling involved. When I lost Pundi as my local supporter because he had a stroke, for 30 years I've been around here and people don't exactly know how I fit in, what I fit in. But I had a local champion. I don't want to see that happen again. That's why I'm reaching out to Hawaiian leaders. If you're a leader and you're Hawaiian, I'm talking to you. Man, woman, whatever you declare yourself to be. This is not my idea, but there are things that have to happen here that aren't happening for 30 years. This all set off because this guy let this innocent comment about, we talked about that 30 years ago. There are so many things that happened 30 years ago that should have been changed 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah. After Hurricane Iwa back in 1982, we lost up from Oahu down. We lost the road because the hurricane took it out, and the Corps of Engineers came in and said, "Hey, the sugarcane rail over there, that's the grade that we need to. We got the money to build this road and raise the grade so this wouldn't happen again." And now again, because of the lunar cycles, we're having high tides again. And it's like, okay, well, maybe we should raise the road. And I said, well, we got a whole bunch of money after this hurricane in '82, and nobody raised the grade of the road along there. The Corps of Engineers came in and said, we're going to move the highway back. We're going to move it back 100 yards. We'll move it back next to the rail grade that's no longer there anymore. It's just a bump. But we'll raise it to rail grade, and that way we won't have coastal erosion there during any storms in the future. And somehow the money came and went. So
what do they think? We all, you guys out there, KAKU 88.5 FM listeners, Akaku listeners, the people in Germany and in New York and all over the world, in Australia.
Yeah.
And down under, I don't want to leave out the Middle East. People everywhere.
No. People Middle East, there you go.
Well, we are in this together, whether we believe there's a climate change compared to what. And who are we to judge when we know nothing? We listen to science, but I'll tell you something. It doesn't matter. It's a personal experience. And I live on Maui, and this innocent thing started when we started talking about, so what's it been like? I brought you on right after the fire. See, look how far we came off. Well, that's what they call a warm introduction. It's, I can't even see. It must be 15 minutes in. That's what I like about talking with you. I walk with this guy. I used to walk.
Oh, he was amazing. He would do it in Crocs, for Christ's sake. God, Jesus.
Scott was in my Mankind group, and he said, oh, well, if you want to do it, you should walk with me. He was after some operation. He's been amazing. They put him together, and things happen. Right here he goes, and he's walking 5 miles. Suddenly has me walking in Kihei 3, 4, 5, charting and seeing that I'm really seeing improvement, feeling good. Then I had an automobile accident, couldn't make it, stopped doing the gym. Oh, that's a side story. Stopped doing the gym. My muscles. Ariel used to go, oh, I love your muscles. She hasn't said that in a while. I got to go back to the gym. But I couldn't walk, so I needed to find someone. Scott works with people that need to learn how to do things. Like you work with a special needs lady.
I do. She was hit by a car, drunk driver.
Wow. And so he volunteered to help me. Once a week we go at least and walk in a pool. And I learned to use those muscles in a different kind of an environment with water. And so appreciate those little things in life that... Thank you. You really bringing my physicality back again, because last night I went to the MKP party, Mankind Project party, at Michael Wick's house for Sonny Elliott. Sonny's up there, older than me a little bit, but not much, who's leaving for Thailand.
Yeah.
And so we had a party there, and Ariel likes our friend Ryan. Ryan was the cook, cooking ribs and chicken, and Ryan works out and has, muscles. So Ariel likes Mankind Project men. She's out there in this party having a good time, and the reason I bring it up was the muscles with Ryan. I want to get my muscles back again.
He spends 4 hours in the gym. I used to see him at the gym. That guy's an animal.
Oh, I didn't know that. Does he? Oh, is that right? I don't want to give him too much reputation, but all the girls go, who's that guy? We have a really great friend, one of the Mankind kind. He's a wonderful guy. But anyway, I'm going to get my muscles back, Ariel. You watch.
There you go.
And feel good. You've helped me. That's why I brought that up. See?
Zero gravity. That's
fantastic. Oh, this Aloha swim lessons it's not that it's misleading, but you're more than just a swim coach.
Yeah,
you give them psychological counseling in the water because they're in your group. That's fantastic.
Everything I do,
you integrate.
Everything I do is based on the cognitive behavioral change model, which is either micro immersion. Immersion's a good word. It crosses all genres, or between the jail and the pool and the ocean. If you have an embedded fear, you use a certain roadmap, and that roadmap belongs to each person. So you first have to discover their roadmap. Then you can guide them to a more relaxed and comfortable swimming experience. Or if I'm at the jail working there, or I do my online group, because I work for parents and children together. Yeah. And if you do that same thing, and you're trying to help somebody discover why they get angry or what triggers their anger, it's almost fundamentally the exact same thing that triggers someone's fear of maybe getting in the water or being afraid to get in the ocean. Fear is what generates anger, generally speaking. That's why I find war so frustrating, because it's all fear-based. It's just, we could talk for hours on that. But when you start immersing people and learning that their fears were something that was created between their ears at some point in life, quite often the people I've taught to swim, most of them are usually my age or older. I had a couple that were both 79 last fall. They had a condo on the beach for 30 years and never got in the ocean.
Wow.
We spent a month together in the water, not every day, a couple days a week. By the end, we were down between Cam 1 and Cam 2, and I was out there with my GoPro, and I had them out there swimming with like 8, 9 turtles. The pictures of them coming out of the water, just, whoa, how have we been here for this many years? And like I've been telling, I've got some traveling nurses that I work with. And I said, what's really exciting now is maybe the water won't be perfectly clear, but you get in and you're going to hear the whales. It doesn't matter if they're 8 miles out, you can hear them singing. And I said, and what blew me away when I got my first GoPro, I've got a new GoPro now, you can hear that when your video underwater. It's like, I can hear whales. It's so brilliant. Wow. I've been hearing him since I was a kid. I mean, I made the great mistake. I love telling this story. I'll tell it. It's one of my stupid stories. I love being vulnerable at times. So I'm at Little Beach. I'm maybe 20 plus years old by just a smidge. I was a water polo player in college. The guys on my team, most of them made the Olympic team back in 1980 when it got boycotted. And so I was in great shape. My buddies that I hung out with, my lifeguard buddies and stuff, we'd go to Little Beach, hang out naked because we were so pretty. That was when I made a pact with God that when I got to the age I'm at now, I would never be seen naked on Little Beach, because I don't want to look at it's hard enough looking in the mirror. So here I am at Little Beach. We're hanging out with buds, having beers. It's, pot of whales comes in. I'm naked. I have a pair of goggles. Well, I'll swim out there. It's maybe 1,000 yards. That's snap of the fingers. I do 7,000 yards a day on the water back in those days. I swam out there, hung with the whales. And that was one of those stupid moments where you realize after an hour of being in crystal clear water with a mom and maybe a 2-year-old calf and another, that, oh yeah, there's drift. 6 hours swimming back to Little Beach naked. My butt was so burnt, and every other part of me was so burnt when I got to the beach.
That's a funny story.
Oh, So, there's a lot to learn about getting in the water. This morning, I'm out on my walk, and I'm down
6 miles.
At least. It was 6 hours of swimming.
Oh,
no, it was more than 6 miles.
But how do you, I keep wondering, that's some kind of drift.
Well, that's a mile and a half an hour.
That's not much?
Well, if you're out there for an hour, that's, you're moving.
Oh, I forgot. You're a rescue guy, too. You rescue fires, you rescue water things.
Yeah, it's just...
if you want to know who Superman is in real life, Clark Kent,
No,
it's this guy, Scott Bushnell.
I've got more replacement parts than I would like to know, but they just...
hey,
are you getting your new parts?
No, but well, that's a story. Ariel got me a shirt, and I was gonna wear it today. And then I looked at my body and said, "I'm not ready to go." But I said, "So, in a second, I'll take it." It's a shirt I wore that she got me. I thought was funny. No, I have a pacemaker, so that's a replacement part, or
it's a replacement part. Yeah,
all right. Then
that's a supercharger.
Then I have a replacement part.
You got replacement parts. Yeah.
But I have a shirt that says, what does it say?
Built in the 50s, original, unrestored, some parts still in working order. Perfect. Nice shirt.
But I thought, it's too much to start a show with.
Nah, shoot.
And I was going to show that and then talk about Ryan. See, I had a plan.
There you go.
I enjoyed myself. Every time I get around the Mankind group, I say to myself, one of the women there said, I want to be in the Mankind group. Women, there are lots of groups, and there are some here that even call themselves affiliated with Mankind, right?
On the mainland, there's women, a big
I was going to
group.
say women against women. No, it's not. It's
no, the women
within.
MKP has women's groups on the mainland.
Because I remember Dwayne Elliott's wife, Indigo Ball, beautiful, wonderful lady.
Amazing lady.
Who started with Phyllis Newman. Phyllis Newman, I'm mentioning you and your husband, Harry Newman, on a couple of shows. I guess it's important that we get in touch again. But they started Women Within, and they were given the training from the mainland to be able to expand. And Dwayne, Sonny Elliott, who's just leaving, right, to Thailand, has done 126 trainings.
That's incredible.
And we have his son who's done like 30-something, and now Sam Miletus has done a bunch.
Oh, yeah.
Mankind Project grows. It's an idea of what is the best you can be.
And not being afraid to be that. We've become so dumbed down as men in the last probably 20 years. You can stand up and be strong and be a male and not be aggressive and an asshole. So, there's a balance there.
And you can be gay and be a male.
There you go.
And not be, it's like the interaction of people and all the growth in people doesn't have to be pulling us apart.
Right.
It should be making us see how together we are and can be, and just awareness of that fact. It's hard to me imagine the wars that we have going on and all this although I don't have a lot of anything, I know there's tons of abundance, way more than those that have need for.
Yeah. And
I keep thinking that the more we help each other, the more we'll realize how much better of a system that is.
I think the system, not the system, I think our social media system is not doing us any favors.
No, it is not.
I was shocked, during the Ukraine event, which has just been ripping my heart out. But I had swim lessons, snorkeling lessons with a family from New York and all their Ukrainian family. Very little English. 2 people in the group spoke English, spent 2 weeks with them. They stayed in condos right next to mine. And they expressed to me how they were so excited about Putin finally coming in to clean up Ukraine because it was such a mess. And I had never heard that. I had never heard that on any forum anywhere. And so for 2 weeks that I spent with them, teaching their kids to swim, then to snorkel, and then being able to interact with this Ukrainian family from Kiev, and how they were excited about Putin coming in because things were such a mess. They said, Putin is an absolute horrible person, but it's like, here's the lines he draws, and as long as you're working inside the lines, and he said, they were happy. Everything was wealthy. Everybody was making a little money. Everything was working well. Like, back, you'd hear, the trains ran on time or whatever. This family expressed to me something completely different than anything I had ever heard.
Did you feel that there was a way to solve the problems that you heard without the kind of level of change?
And how they related it to me, they were saying, and this could because this was after Joe Biden was elected, he said, He said for the people of this country to assume that Ukrainians were all in lockstep against the Soviets or against the Russians makes about as much sense as believing all the Americans wanted Trump or didn't want Trump. It was pretty much divided down the middle. And they expressed it like that, and I was like,
well, that's something interesting to perceive.
yeah. And I mean, it took me, and then I look back. I actually, I coached in Los Alamos, New Mexico. I had a gentleman, a young guy who I trained as a lifeguard, who was renting a room for me for about a year, I think he was, and he was a child. Him and his sister were a child. Yet to follow the Soviet Union, and he fell asleep in Kiev and woke up in Los Alamos, New Mexico. The CIA had moved his family, because his parents were both nuclear research physicists, out of Los Alamos with all the other researchers in that lab, relocated him to the United States. And I called him and I said, I heard this from somebody that lived in Kiev, and I know you remember just childhood. He says, well, yeah, I still talked to some family there, and they were pretty much in that same boat, that they thought it was going to be really good for Putin just to come in and clean up and straighten up the mess. And I'm like, why don't I hear this anywhere?
What kind of a change and mess? I mean, maybe this is a good forum for it. I don't know. But why do you have to bring in so much military? Was it is it what happened in Israel and Gaza? Is it similar or different?
Money. Oh, I think Gaza just makes me ill. Yeah. But there's so much money that we've dumped into Ukraine.
Really?
Yeah, and the amount, Raytheon, all those, the big dollar corporations.
Where was the change? What was the change that this group wanted that didn't get shared with the Americans?
That the elections there were a mess, they were a shamble, and there was a lot of corruption.
But why was Putin coming in with an army going to help?
He just was going to come in, as far as what in their mind. I don't know this. I'm just curious.
Yeah. I'm curious.
He said, I said, yeah, they're going to park there. They're going to clean up, drain the swamp, so to speak. I don't know. But they were going to come in and get new elections, new secured elections, make sure everything was done above board, something exactly what we've done in other countries. And so I was like, oh, well, that's a whole new process. I never heard that. But from their standpoint, they were thinking that the country had been so messed up that here was an outside party that was going to come in with a good, strong presence, and they were going to peacefully just get everything lined up. Putin wasn't expecting a fight.
No, but imagine you were Ukrainian, and no matter what your beliefs were, you suddenly see masses of troops, just sort of like Israel, masses of troops making their way to your border, ready for rock and roll, and that keep rolling and are in your country. Creates a real thing. And the Gaza deal, now that there are 300,000 activated troops in Israel. That's got to be a bunch of people in one group in a little area. It's like, whoa. And Gaza with no, and so when I think about why a group would think about bringing in Putin to come in and make things better, it sure looks bad on a world stage to have 100. I need 100,000 guys with me to make my point.
Yeah, I don't believe. I
know that sounds a little funny.
I think, and Hamas is just, and how we have people in the streets and on universities protesting in favor of the Hamas as basically a Nazi organization that's trying to kill the Jews. I never thought I would see in my lifetime. I thought university kids were smarter than this. I really did. I feel so let down.
Yeah.
I see these gay rights. I'm gay. I see these gay rights organizations out there in support of this Hamas movement, when if you were gay in any of those countries, you'd be thrown off the roof if you were gay. What the hell? Come on. Wake up, people. Do you know what you're supporting? Do you think? I mean, if you just take a picture, I mean, it was really cool back in the early '80s. Is I had a lot of swim lessons with people from Iran, and the women would wear bathing suits. It was all wonderful. And now some of the Iranians that I have taught to swim over the last few years, who have come from Iran, have gotten out of Iran, have told me how it's so exciting that they can actually not cover their faces and wear clothing. So if you're in favor of women's rights, and you're in favor of gay rights, and you're in favor of any of these things, I don't know how you can possibly be in favor of Hamas. That is absolute. That would be in 1941 being in favor of Hitler.
Well, and the stories that you hear of the horror that they've left in their first day of slaughter of so many people.
We had one of the kids that was on the farm. My brother Tim they had volunteers at Lahaina Family Farms for a long time. And we had a volunteer on the farm. She checked up on me after the Lahaina fires. I totally dished. She was at that dance festival that Hamas attacked.
She's very fortunate to be alive.
She is, and she reached out, and I feel so badly because she reached out checking on myself and Andrew after the fire, and I forgot to reach out to her, and I didn't even and now I've been listening to her post about what it was like to be there. Oh. And I'm like, oh my God.
It does back to your other original statement. I don't know if social media is doing us any good.
They're not doing us any good.
We have so much detail to, in the real time, hear that things that are being shared with us aren't true compared to these other social media posts.
Yeah.
We are finding the more we know, the more we break down the systems that we have believed in and thought were and supporting us to find now, and it's splintering.
Yeah.
Social media is
and the mainstream media.
You know, there's much more information. It's hard to know what's good, what's bad, what's real, what's not. AI, what's artificial, what's not.
Real, yeah.
What kind of world do you want?
Exactly.
You know, here on Maui, I can tell you, by the way, we should be announcing KAKU 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui, Kaku, Maui Community Television and Media, and Channel 55. Also on MauiNeutralZone.com, you can find this show and other shows going backward. And going forward, you can't find going forward. You can look into my brain. And you know, the fact is, the truth is, everything we're talking about on this show, every time I hear it out of Scott's mouth. I keep getting back. I'm a broken record that's been here I'm breaking a record in myself for the level of commitment that I've made to the Maui Arts and Music Association and the concept of taking the people that are here, that, not me, I can sing. If you don't know that, now you know. There you go. You'll see me singing. But there are others here that the whole world could know, should know. What if you were able to create money on everything that could, sharing the art and the music that would supplement development of technologies to improve the quality of life and become sustainable and an example to the world, and employ all the people from here and show the world how abundance works? Still have plenty of free enterprise. How do you think this happens? I'm not a magic wand maker. I'm someone that sees what cooperation on an island makes sense. Could be anywhere, but what a place to do it, the most remote landmass in the world. We have visions of what can help save Maui and create abundance in food, in fuel, in housing, in health. What else did I leave out? Didn't leave them out. Hawaiians. You see why I wanted Hawaiians involved, Scott? Mm-hmm. I'm a real broken record, but they were great people I've met. There's a guy, some people think he's a little challenging, but Keimoku Kapu, you know him?
Mm-hmm. I know the name, yeah.
Well, I met him. It was a really nice experience. You know, at first glance, he didn't know who I was, and then we had an interview, and then we had another one. I think over time he was running for offices. There are others. I try not to jump too. I try to wait till someone reaches out. I did a little bit of reaching out, but music and art can be that vision to create that blend that I'm talking about of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you hear how I keep going back to the same theme all the time?
You sound like Leonardo going to the Pope to ask to paint the ceiling of the 16th chapel. Yeah. Yeah, I need some money. I want to paint that ceiling. It's just not working for me. That's Jason.
Well, I'm ready. In fact, I'm excited because today I go see the first company that I'm going to, in a while, to help create this online donors base that can help expand the viewership for public access television.
Is it GoFundMe Jason Maui?
It could be, but I
it
don't
could
think
be.
so. But the fact is, it's so funny because I haven't spent any money on me in so long, and the money that we collect, you think we collect a lot of money? We aren't the collectors. We are the directors. See, the less that we touch, that's fine. But imagine we do shows, and now we have musicians working and artists working and people promoting and working and showing different cultures and being able to put examples physically on the ground here and be able to show how systems work and show that people are healthy and show that the old Hawaiian cultural things and beautiful things get shared all over the world. Maybe a lofty vision, but I don't think it's too lofty.
No, it's not lofty. I think we're working toward. I think honestly we're working towards it. I don't think. I think we get misdirected sometimes. I mean, I was so impressed back when they were still allowing new hotels to be built, how they always forced them to make sure they had water reclamation systems in place. They made sure that they upgraded the sewer system for the entire...
That's good to hear.
Yeah, they did that. They did that. And I was like, wow, that's cool. And
Are
they
those
just
self-sustainable? Oh, not yet.
they're pretty darn good.
Except for power and water.
Yeah, you know, I get to power. Let's get the Jones Act repealed. We should be able to buy oil from Texas and California, for goodness sakes.
Or find other ways to do it, no?
Well, yeah. I mean, why are we buying expensive
green
oil?
waste. That's again,
Yeah.
I go back to there are so many systems. That's why I want this kind of discussion.
We're sitting on a volcano. Why aren't we using geothermal electricity? My gosh.
Because there's been no champion who can show how it's positive versus environmental groups who point out the negative and might have impacts on animal wildlife and
and diesel doesn't?
No, but again, I'm just sharing.
Yeah.
I'm just sharing. You might have I'm only bringing it up. You have a pet geothermal. I might have a pet solar or wind or God knows what happens. But you know what? You can take water and with water and start it going, and you can have power out of water.
Oh,
never mind translating it into anything. We create power out of water.
yeah, we're sitting on a volcanoes here.
Just water all
steam.
around us,
Yeah.
2/3 of the earth.
Yeah.
There's so many solutions that we don't have because others who have the power to control the power, like an oil or God knows, we've heard all kinds of things. How about the fact that they put a solar system within 1,000 yards of a housing community, and that with our brush fires and other fires, that could catch a housing community, then they don't have adequate supply. It's like I just keep seeing mistakes in long-range planning in Maui. Maybe you'll tell me it's not true.
Well, I always had a bone to pick when back when Congress decided not to increase or keep the sugarcane subsidies. Sugarcane subsidies basically kept Baldwin, CNH, everybody in the state solvent. They cut subsidies, and the reason they cut subsidies is because the environmental movement came in and said they burn the fields, they do this, they don't like their farming practices, and Baldwin, everybody just kind of put their hands in the air and said, well, I guess they're going to cut our subsidies. Here are 20 generations that have worked the sugar cane and made a great living, bought homes. You can go find a job, selling maps to tourists. And when they went to Congress, if you look at what they were telling Congress back then, they were talking about when they burned the fields. They burned them systematically. Yeah, we had smoke for a little bit, but it was great. It was cleansing. It was organic. But they packaged it like it was some evil polluting event when they were just basically taking care of the land. And then they said, well, we're not going to allow anything but farming to go onto those sugarcane lands. And now we see them encroaching with housing developments and this and that. I think big money has a plan. Where I grew up, where I was really tiny on the Oregon coast, and I was fighting for the salmon restoration. I actually worked on a House and Senate committee for that, and I got to listen to very intelligent people talk about how after Mount St. Helens we need to take care of the streams on the Columbia River. And I realized, man, there's two sides of very intelligent scientists. And I listened to all this, and I took it in, and I'm hearing it here. I'm hearing like, okay, well, we need sustainable. We've got to have sustainable. I said, well, what do we have here besides sunshine, seawater, and volcanoes? I mean, we know that in Haleakala, going down into the ground, we need to go 1,800 feet, and we can make boiling water. And boiling water makes steam, which could run the turbines that make free electricity, basically.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, why aren't we doing that? I mean, it was a big step when we went from bunker oil that they were burning, ship oil that they were burning in both of the plants, and then they upgraded to diesel. And I mean, they're running as clean as I think as they can. But we have, the planet gave us this beautiful island and the volcano that's sitting under it that won't cool down for 1 million years.
Maybe that's going to be another show, but definitely let's talk about it, because there's no question. I mean, remember, I was on the Integrated Resource Planning Advisory Board in 1992, was it, or 1? Right in there.
Yeah.
And geothermal came up at the time with all the other technologies. And the thing that was brought up at the time was that it is being used in limited conditions and could be more.
Iceland.
But because of the sulfur dioxide coming from the volcano and what unpredictability there might be was one. Also, the heating of the water in an area would disturb the wildlife. Now, this is what we heard 30 years ago. So, obviously, here we are, and now we know a lot more than we did then. I don't hear that discussion anymore.
No. Because
there have been other pet things that seem harmless. For example, solar. I was a big solar advocate, and whatever, I'm getting old already. 88, 89, way back when, right? And, but the challenge was those were 12% efficiency. Now the efficiencies have gone up. There are ways to do this on existing structures instead of massive fields.
Right.
So do we want decentralized solar
Absolutely.
or centralized solar? See the difference in our world that we're now facing, and how does that compare to a geothermal, centralized, maybe backup? But these need to be discussed openly, and companies that want to make money, we have to discuss them openly.
Yeah.
We only have 3 minutes, just one sort of kind of coming to.
No, it's all good.
Can you imagine we spoke all that time? Amazing,
no, we do this when we walk in the water. We walk for an hour and a half sometimes.
So we're going to have this guy back. That's why I like to think of him as a co-host, because if I'm not here, Scott can be here. I still want to talk about the Hawaiian thing, because I really want to make Hawaiians feel much more welcome in the world that we are, until things can be different in some way that respects what they appreciate was taken from them. Like you referenced your partner and how the ideas of different culture. That's a really good and important discussion. I think it says 2 minutes and 45 seconds. That just blows my mind. Scott is a really wonderful guy. Scott R Bushnell, AlohaSwimLessons.com. You know me. I'm Jason Schwartz, MauiNeutralZone.com, Maui Arts and Music Association. Go looking. Find out what dreammaui.org is all about. And Scott, when he talks about GoFundMe Jason gets no funding.
He needs funding.
He needs funding. But he doesn't take it personal. And I don't need money for anything. Because the things that I would be doing are these projects. And that's what's exciting, because those projects are all of you who will be involved. And guess what? We'll have money. You're going to get paid. That's what we're talking about, creating an economy out of who and what we are and how we can all be self-sufficient and be examples to the world, whether we're visiting or whether we're from here, or whether we're blue, green, pink, Hawaiian, Chinese, Ukrainian, Israeli, God knows. Hamas isn't a country, you see. That's more movementy. Things that's a whole different kind of a subject.
Yeah, it is. Hamas is not Islam.
No.
Nor is the Ku Klux Klan Christianity.
No, we have conversations. A minute and 28 seconds. What do you do? We count them down? No.
I don't know.
In yesterday's football game, I watched the Giants and the Jets highlights.
Oh my God, that little guy that came out of nowhere. Yeah.
Oh God,
that was awesome.
The Jets and the Giants, 3-point difference. The Jets won in overtime with a kick. My God. And the Chargers beating, the San Francisco lost. What else is interesting? The Chiefs lost.
My New Jersey Devils won. My hockey team.
45 seconds. Scott Bushnell, you've been what? Congratulations to the Blue Jersey Devils.
Yeah, yeah. They're New Jersey Devils. There we go. Yeah.
People, thank you for watching and listening, and I hope that you will look at our other shows as well and realize that together we are nothing but a super, super example of what cooperation is about, because there's lots of love shared here in the studio and out to the world from all of us. Blessings to you.
Happy Halloween.
See you next week. Happy Halloween. Oh, And we have 3 seconds to spare. Wow.
That was fun.